participants. Your number. Number. Your number. ഒന്നും മാറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല ചേട്ടാ നന്ദി Your number. ഒന്നും മാറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല ചേട്ടാ നന്ദി Your number. ഒന്നും മാറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല ചേട്ടാ നന്ദി Your number. ഒന്നും മാറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല ചേട്ടാ നന്ദി
cases for automobile and PVH. In the current scenario, automation is one of the essential requirements, and we can also take PVH, artificial intelligence enable automation solution and our team to enhance their productivity in deliver touchless processes and we found PVH-based solution to easily. With PVH, we are able to embed pharmacovigilance or artificial intelligence to improve data quality, insight across options. In the recent time, our team's productivity has increased significantly with the help of Vidicode. Vidicode is a triage search system which help to manage cases received from companies, MHRA, and NRA.
I'm the already almost 20 years experience in starting my current position as a QPPD and head of drug safety. Really fun and glad we found the edge, which is cloud-based, figure safety with surveillance systems, PVH team and and extended our power. We are good to willing to hear our problems and needs from the software solution. Overall compliance of the system. It's easy to be demonstrated to our partners and authorities in case of audits and inspections. SPVH platform has a very user-friendly interface. Their output is essential
वही थोड़ा सा मतलब 2-3 बार टूटा था ये पूरे दिन से बना तुम नए थे कल हम चाय पीने भी नहीं गए वो कितना याद करते लोग पहले नहीं करते थे अभी करते हैं सारे रिश्तों और मास्क क्यों निकालते हैं अभी पढ़ रहा है सर मैंने मना कर दिया वाले को बीच में काम करते हैं वही किया घर में ले मैं अभी इतने लोग घर में पहन दो नहीं वो अभी नहीं होगा क्या
current scenario, automation is one of the essential requirements of the pharmacovigilance, and we have also artificial intelligence enable automation solution and our team to enhance their productivity, deliver specialist to generate application and performance without automation. And we found PVH based solution to fulfill this. With PVH, we are able to upgrade pharmacovigilance for artificial intelligence to improve data quality across operations. In the recent time, our team's productivity has increased significantly with the help of Vidicode. Vidicode is a triage search system which help to manage cases received from Congress, MHRA, and Canada.
I am the vegan graduate pharmacist, 20 experience in years and starting my current position as a QP lead and head of drug safety. Vegan pharmacy, I'm glad we found these
पीछे चल रहा है
willing to hear our problems and needs and overall compliance. SPVH platform has the ability to use a interface. I think this is a good
Yeah, good morning. YouTube, we will stream it slowly. No issues with that. It is working fine. Okay. No, it is working fine. It is working fine, and you can get it. You can let it also. You can say it. Okay. No issues. It is live streaming, no, so it will.
फिर से चलो फिर से चलो Dr. Vijay Kumar,
Jadi mana phone?
and London, we
This is brand. Big model.
services for more than 30 years. In the current scenario, automation is one of the essential requirements of the pharmacovigilance, and we have also adopted PBH artificial intelligence enable automation solution and our team to enhance their productivity in delivers touchless processing to generate precision and normal numbers without human intervention. And we found PBH great solution. With PBH, we are able to embed pharmacovigilance or artificial intelligence to improve data quality, insight across actions. In the recent time, our team's productivity has increased significantly with the help of Piticode is a triage search system which helps manage cases received from consumers, MHRA, and KEDA.
Today, I want to show you my favorite top 5 best free screen owners. To make this list, the FSD also it should place no watermarks on the area, which no supporting the best possible quality. Description. I'll share that with you. Let's check out the scene. Let's check out these free screen owners.
Overall compliance of the system. It's easy to be demonstrated. This PBH platform has a very user-friendly interface. I think this is a good thing.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Global Pharmacovigilance Congress 2022. So we have so many delegates here today. Thank you for joining. Now I would like to invite our coordinator, ma'am, Dr. Y. Roja Ramani, ma'am, to address the session, address the event.
Good morning, one and all. Chinmay, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Our director, our officer in charge PVPI is here, Dr. Jayaprakash sir. He hasn't joined yet, I think.
I'll call him. Ma'am.
Just give a call.
Yeah, you can give the welcome address in your line.
Okay, a very good morning to one and all. Since we have so many sessions lined up for this Global Pharmacovigilance Congress, let's start in time. I think people will be joining us throughout the day. We'll just wait for our officer in charge Pharmacovigilance Program of India to join us, and then we can start. What do you say, Chinmay?
Ma'am, you will join soon. So meanwhile, we can you can tell something about the event. Yeah.
Okay. So today we are all here assembled to attend the Global Pharmacovigilance Congress 2022, which is being organized in collaboration with the ADR
क्या हम
Conference
करेंगे मेरे को
Center.
पब्लिक स्पीकिंग में देखो अभी से हम फंबल करने लगे
Excuse me. Chinmay, please see that all people have kept their audio mute.
पूरा भागे रहते
Yes, ma'am. And please unmute me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we have organized the Global Pharmacovigilance Congress by the ADR Monitoring Center, MKCG Medical College and Hospital, Berhampur, Odisha, in India, in collaboration with the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh, which is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare Government of India, and also the Global Pharmacovigilance Society, which is also being sponsored by Sargent Systems Private Limited and Clinicel Life Sciences. So this 2 days scientific deliberations will cover a number of aspects of the pharmacovigilance systems across the globe, including the post-marketing assessment of medical products in India, precision medicines, automation in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, then risk-based audit planning, medication errors, pharmacovigilance current trends, challenges and opportunities in India and other countries across the globe, then pharmacovigilance inspection findings in Australia, then knowledge attitude practice towards the pharmacovigilance in India, then ADR reporting among the pediatric patients, pharmacovigilance practices in clinical trial sector, then how to reduce the medication related risk using artificial intelligence, then the pharmacovigilance audits in UAE, then challenges in risk management, like this signal management. So there are a number of sessions lined up one after another during these 2 days, and I hope everyone will be benefited to the maximum extent through the various deliberation given by our esteemed speakers, moderators, and we'll be having discussions also in between. So it will be of immense help to all, I think. Um, any discussions will be fruitful only when there is a effective interaction between the participants and the speakers. So let's all cheer our speakers during the session by passing certain messages through our chat box. We need not interrupt them during the talk. We can give our messages through the chat box. We can give our feedback through the chat box. So, and one more request to all the speakers is that they please stick to the time so that we can complete in time. We have a number of sessions lined up. So please, a earnest request to all the speakers of today's and tomorrow's session to be in time for to be brief and to be assigned to be particular to their time assigned for the session. What all, Chinmay, you want to add anything?
Yes, ma'am. As you all know, the event is for 2 days. Yes, and same link will be used for the next day also. Today we have Dr. Jayaprakash sir, chief speaker. Then after that we have Dr. Somnath Basu sir from CDSCO. Then Dr. Pratima ma'am from CDIS MER Bangalore. Then we have our another speaker, Miss Riddhi Doshi. Then we have Dr. J. Vijay Venkatraman and Kisan Nanda from Canada, and Carla Valeria Masironi from Argentina. And at last, we will be having one panel discussion with Gurpreet Singh sir, then Dr. Mukesh Gori, Dr. Tarunjot Singh. That panel discussion session is going to be led by our session chair Cynthia Galisha Quintnar, and it will be moderated by Ms. Arshia Bandari. And the first session is going to be moderated by Dr. Dhriti Kumar Brahma, and the session will be chaired by Dr. Rajendra K. Jalali. And the post-lunch session, that event will be, that session will be chaired by Dr. Medha Joshi ma'am, and will be moderated by Dr. Jyoti Upadhyay. So this is what the agenda for today. So with this, we will start this session. So we are waiting for Dr. Jayaprakash to join, and actually, yeah, he has joined. So welcome, sir. Very good morning, ma'am. You can talk to him.
A very good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Extremely privileged and proud again to be a part of your Pharmacovigilance program of India through this ADR monitoring center, sir. Greetings to one and all. Respected Dean and Principal, MKCG Medical College, Berhampur, Professor Dr. Abonikanta Mishra sir, Professor and HOD Pharmacology, Professor Dr. Jayanti Prabha Mishra Behra madam, and Officer in charge of the PVPI, Dr. Jayaprakash sir, all have extended their help and cooperation for conduct of this Global Pharmacovigilance Congress 2022. It gives me immense warmth and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of this ADR Monitoring Center, MKCG Medical College, Berhampur. As I told you before, it's organized by our college, the ADR Monitoring Center, in collaboration with the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, Ghaziabad, and Global Pharmacovigilance Society. So it gives me tremendous contentment to be presenting this welcome speech and welcome you all among the most esteemed personalities who have won accolades in their respective fields. So during this 2 days deliberations. We have a number of sessions lined up, as previously I have told you. So these each topic for this discussion and debate has been chosen keeping in mind the interest of the young pharmacologists and the pharmacists across the globe. Hope the deliberations during these 2 days will improve our knowledge and attitude towards ADR reporting and pharmacovigilance in total. So I ensure that this webinar will be profitable and fruitful to everyone present here. Dear attendees, thank you one and all for joining, and we'll be having more and more attendees throughout the day, I think. So first of all, let's start this day with the deliberation from our dear officer in charge, PVPI, Dr. Jayaprakash sir. So before starting his deliberation, let me introduce him to all of you. He's a very supportive person and has been with us during a number of webinars since last 4-5 years. He is currently working as the Senior Principal Scientific Officer and Officer in Charge National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance Program of India at the IPC, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, Ghaziabad. He has done his B.Pharm and M.Pharm Pharmacology from College of Pharmacy, presently known as Delhi Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, and his doctorate from Department of Pharmacology, AIIMS, New Delhi, India. He has a number of publications to his credit in books. He has got a number of chapters contributed, national and international journals of repute, around 12 national and 15 international publications. He is the recipient of Miss Gita Mittal Medal for Basic Research in the field of oncology for being the best graduate at AIIMS Servicer Young Investigators Award, and Certificate of Merit in M.Pharm. And he has many more to be spoken about, but for now, without much waste of time, let us talk and let us listen to Dr. Jayaprakash sir, who has been here with us since so many webinars, and today also we welcome you, sir. Thank you for joining us in time, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning, everyone. Respected Principal, MKCG Medical College, the head of the department of this college, Dr. Roja Ramani, the AMC coordinator, Dr. Chinmay, the galaxy of the national and international participants, Dr. Jalali, and my dear all the participants. At the outset, I extend my warm greetings to this ADR Monitoring Center of MKCG Medical College for taking the lead in organizing many international conferences in a very short span of time, as I see in the past. So I congratulate to you, madam, and to your team for keeping such activities up. As you all know that the quality, safety, and efficacy, they are the all-time requirement for a medicine from the safety perspective of the patient. And in our lifetime, we can fall sick at any point of time. That moment, we all will be requiring the medicines of assured safety, quality, and efficacy. So, in the last 1 decade, Pharmacovigilance Program of India had tried to make the progress and to establish the systems and procedures in place. So I will just be giving you the update on the progressive journey of Pharmacovigilance Program of India. I have a few slides to share with you. please wait for a moment. I am just sharing the slides. Kindly confirm whether the slides are visible or
Yes, sir.
not.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the content of my presentation is the definition of pharmacovigilance. Why do we need the pharmacovigilance? The journey of pharmacovigilance in India with a special reference to Pharmacovigilance Program of India. How we have expanded the Pharmacovigilance Program of India. What are the ADR reporting forms, different channels of reporting of adverse drug reactions to PVPI, like the PVP helpline, mobile app, etc. Then what output has come from PVPI, the recommendations which have been sent to the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization for taking regulatory measures, and where do we stand at the global level as far as the submission of individual case safety reports to the international authorities concerned, like the WHO. As you all will be knowing the definition of pharmacovigilance, and the definition has been given by the World Health Organization, and pharmacovigilance in simplest term is defined by the WHO as the science and activities related to the detection, assessment, understanding, prevention of the adverse effect of any of the medicine related problems. In the simplest term, pharmacovigilance stands for to have a watch on the drugs and the active monitoring of the drugs for the safety is also required. Why do we need pharmacovigilance? There are many reasons behind it. I will not be listing out all the reasons, but to tell you a few important reasons why do we need the pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance is necessary to protect the patient from unnecessary harm and from increasing healthcare costs of medicines. Adverse drug reactions are a huge burden, and many patients get hospitalized.
Excuse
Am
me,
I
sir.
audible?
Sir,
Yes, madam?
can you make it slideshow, sir? Your presentation is not in, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We got
Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So many patients get hospitalized on account of the adverse drug reactions, and they are a huge burden on the healthcare system, and therefore careful monitoring and interventions for adverse drug reactions are necessary. When the clinical trials are conducted, so we get the limited data despite all the efforts. Like such trials are conducted under the controlled conditions and in the limited number of patients, and therefore after the marketing of the drug, the rare adverse events may not always be reflected, and therefore when the drug is used, irrespective of the barriers of the geography, anywhere, either in the country or abroad, then only we get uh, the real safety data of the medicines. It is also important for signal detection and risk minimization, and communication of the risk to the patients, to the healthcare professionals is also necessary. For early detection of the new adverse drug reactions on the patients of exceptional sensitivity, such as in the pediatric population, geriatric population, pregnant. So these age group persons, they are hardly included while conducting the clinical trials. Then to promote the rational use of medicines and adherence to the medications so the safety monitoring is necessary. It is also necessary to ultimately support our regulatory agencies in the decision-making process of safe use of medicines, which gives the confidence to the public and confidence to the regulators, confidence to the healthcare professionals while prescribing the medicines. I just wanted to give you this, to show you this picture, that when the clinical trials are conducted, they are conducted under the controlled settings, and the complete outcome of the drug may not be there. And this has been shown through an empty road. And when road is empty, and even an untrained driver can safely drive the vehicle. However, when there is a busy road, we need an expert driver. So similarly, after the marketing authorization of a drug, once it passes through phase 3 clinical trials, the post-marketing surveillance is necessary, where a very type of the population, they administer the drug, and at that point of time, it becomes difficult for the prescriber which drug to prescribe, as there could be differences in the age, there could be comorbid conditions, there are dietary factors, disease factors, genetic factors, and though the real outcome comes when it is prescribed, irrespective of the barriers of the geographical barriers to any type of any population, and therefore one has to carefully prescribe the medicines. As you see that it is very difficult if we have the road is there, but if there are so many persons, so one has to carefully drive the vehicle. So we need an expert driver. Similarly, we need an expert healthcare professionals while prescribing the medicines to his patients, keeping in view all the clinical factors and the condition of the patients. A brief overview of the history of the adverse drug reactions. So in the past, there have been many instances of the adverse drug reactions. Like a 15-year-old girl who was administered chloroform for her ingrown the nails. In 1848, her death took place. After that, many deaths also took place, and therefore, a Glasgow committee was set up after a gap of about 32 years. And, the committee had recommended that the chloroform is not safe and it causes the cardiac toxicity, and the toxicity of the chloroform is relatively more than that of the chloroform. So Hyderabad, the first Hyderabad Chloroform Commission was also constituted in India to confirm the findings, and as per the literature, around 40,000 persons were administered the chloroform and the safety was, they showed that the chloroform is safe, and some animals were also used to, and the commission had shown that it is relatively safer, and it can be used. However, the report first Hyderabad Chloroform Commission report, it was not accepted in England, and therefore the second Hyderabad Chloroform Commission was appointed, who confirmed that it is toxic and confirmed the findings of the Glasgow Committee. So, apart from chloroform, many other drugs, they have caused the adverse drug reactions, like salvarsan caused jaundice in 1922, and the tragedy with the sulfanilamide has also been reported in literature. So in 1937, sulfanilamide was considered as the miracle drug, and one of the manufacturers in 1938 prepared the elixir of sulfanilamide in diethylene glycol, and that caused the toxicity. So the toxicity was probably due to the toxic nature of the diethylene glycol. So apart from such tragedies, it has, the sulfanilamide tragedy had caused the death of 107 persons, including 100 children. Thereafter, you can find many other reports in the literature, like the gastrointestinal side effect of aspirin, reported as back as in 1955. Then chloramphenicol associated grey baby syndrome, it was also reported in 1950s. And one of the worst disasters which has taken place is the thalidomide disaster. This drug was synthesized in 1953 and was tried as a safe sedative hypnotic around 1960s, and around 10,000 of the fetal toxicities were reported with thalidomide, and you can see here the pictures of the many thalidomide victims. So the phocomelia, you can see here in these two persons. So after the thalidomide disasters, the world authorities they became alert and tried to establish these systems of pharmacovigilance across various nations and the regions. Then you can see also in the literature the diethylstilbestrol induced vaginal adenocarcinoma, which was reported in 1970s. So apart from these instances, there are many other drugs which has caused various type of the safety problems, and many drugs have been banned worldwide. As you can see from here, the list of some of the drugs. Sorry, that thalidomide caused the teratogenic effect, terfenamide caused the ventricular arrhythmias, stilbestrol caused carcinogenesis, clozapine caused agranulocytosis, practolol caused oculomucocutaneous syndrome, and you can see many other drugs like rofecoxib induced the CVS or cerebrovascular accident. However, it is not necessary that a drug which is already banned in one particular country will also get banned in other countries. And you can see other examples also, like nimesulide, which has been banned in many countries, but it is being used with precautions in other countries like in India. So it has not to be prescribed under the age of 12 years because of the safety reason. So a careful monitoring of the safety is necessary. Coming to the journey of pharmacovigilance in India, so many attempts in the past have been made, and in the literature you can find these attempts being made to establish the pharmacovigilance system. So the history can be traced back to 1888. And I will not be going into much of the detail. And you can see the literature. Then attempts were also made in 1975, where the first PubMed indexed case series of the adverse drug reactions in 336 patients was reported. Then, as far as the establishment of the pharmacovigilance system in India is concerned, so literature shows that in 1983, Dr. Molly Thomas from CMC Vellore tried to establish the formal ADR monitoring system. Then in 1986, first PV system was introduced by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, the Apex Drug Regulatory Authority of India. So the 12 regional centers were established. Then again in 1989, second attempt was made by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Third attempt was also independently made by the Indian Council of Medical Research, and they established 12 centers. Some of these centers were located in Mumbai, Delhi, etc. And it was a multi-centric project, but somehow there was not much success. So fourth attempt was made by the CDSO in 1997. Then in 1998, you can see that India was declared as a permanent member of the WHO Program for International Drug Monitoring. And the fifth attempt was made in 2004 to establish the National Pharmacovigilance System. Then in 2009, then the funding from the World Bank was stopped. It became very difficult to sustain this system. So sixth attempt was again made by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. And to my knowledge, I was also there to join the operationalization of the pharmacovigilance program of India when a 2 days workshop was organized at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Then in 2011, on 15th of April, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India decided to recast this program and to shift the National Coordination Center of Pharmacovigilance Program of India to the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. And since then, we have been putting our heart and soul to establish the systems and procedures in place and to expand this program further. Then in 2012, under the ambit of Pharmacovigilance Program of India, Hemovigilance Program of India was also launched from National Institute of Biologicals at Noida. Then we introduced a toll-free helpline number in 2013. The helpline numbers being 1800-180-3024, and this helpline number remains operational for 5 days from Monday to Friday from 5 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 in the evening. Then as a part of further initiative in 2015, it was felt that there is also the necessity to monitor the safety of the medical devices, and therefore the Pharmacovigilance Program of India was also launched. And both these programs are under the ambit of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India. They are being supported fully by the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And then we started providing the trainings in pharmacovigilance, and we had launched the skill development programs in pharmacovigilance. Since 2017, on quarterly frequency, the skill development programs are being organized from National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and the effort of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India, they were recognized by the World Health Organization, and Pharmacovigilance Program of India was given the status of WHO Collaborative Center for Pharmacovigilance in Public Health Programs and Regulatory Services. So we completed a tenure of 4 years successfully after submission of the annual reports from PVPI, and as a WHO collaborative center status of the PVPI has been further extended for next 4 years by the World Health Organization. So it is a matter of pride for the whole country. And we took further initiative just last year to get organized the National Pharmacovigilance Week from 17th of September to 23rd of September every year. And I request all of you to please organize at your institute, at your level, the coming National Pharmacovigilance Week also. So that was the summary of the journey of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India. I would also like to give you a further update about the PVPI. As I told that the program was recasted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare through an order on 15th of April 2011. MVPI and HVPI both are under the ambit of the PVPI, and PVPI was declared as a WHO Collaborative Center for Pharmacovigilance in Public Health Programs and Regulatory Services, and continuing the tenure of the second term. So we are in the continuous process of the expansion of the PVPI, and in the last 4 years we have expanded the program in terms of the number of the adverse drug reaction monitoring centers in the country. So 4 years back, we were having 250 adverse drug reaction monitoring centers, and today we have 567 adverse drug reaction monitoring centers across the country, and we are in the process of further expansion of this program to have at least one AMC in each hospital across the nation. I already told about our status in the WHO PIDM, where we became the permanent member in 1998. And here you can see this graph that in a phase-wise manner, PVPI has been expanded to come to 567 centers as on date. Coming to why should we report? You know, everyone needs the medicines, and if there is a just a single serious adverse event, it can create havoc in the healthcare facility, and the patients may become afraid, and therefore it is necessary to control, to prevent the adverse events occurrence in any healthcare facility, and inculcating the culture of the reporting of adverse drug reactions is also necessary. So just one person can make a difference, and if we are careful, we are on watch for the serious adverse events, then one single person can educate the other persons as well, and you know, it can propagate a culture of reporting of the adverse events, and the further preventive actions can be taken at the level of the patients, at the level of the healthcare providers. There are 4 minimum requirements to report the adverse drug reactions. There should be an identifiable patient. There should be an identifiable reporter, an identifiable medicinal product, and an identifiable adverse events. So these 4 cardinal requirements should be met out while filling the suspected adverse drug reaction reporting forms, and PVPI has come out with many types of the adverse drug reactions reporting forms. Like on my left-hand side, you can see the suspected ADR reporting forms for the healthcare professionals. In the middle, the medicine side effect reporting form for the patients or the consumers or the caregivers. This form is relatively simpler as compared to the suspected ADR reporting form for the healthcare professionals. And we also came out with another ADR reporting form for comprehensively report the adverse event on account of drugs being used for the prophylaxis and treatment of the COVID-19. And this form was rolled out in April 2020. And since then, we have been getting the reports, and we are communicating these reports to our appropriate authorities for further necessary action. The consumer reporting form is also available in many vernacular languages like Hindi, Gujarati, Kannada, Bengali, Malayalam, Odia, Tamil, Marathi, Telugu, Assamese, etc. And we have different channels of reporting of adverse drug reactions, like we have the toll-free helpline number, as I told. Then we have the mobile application ADR PVPI. This application is freely downloadable from Google Play Store. We have the hard copy of the ADR reporting form, which serves as the source document. And this form is also available on our website. This is also available on the website of the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. This is also available at the ADR monitoring centers across the country, and anyone can report the adverse drug reactions to the nearby ADR monitoring centers. However, we see that on voluntary basis, many reports are coming directly to the headquarters of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India. Coming to the data flow under the PVPI, so we have the headquarters National Coordination Center established at Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, fully provides the financial and administrative support for running this program. And we have the adverse drug reaction monitoring centers. Then we also have the regional training centers across the country, and the patients can report, healthcare professionals can report, pharmaceutical industry can also voluntarily report to the National Coordination Center. And the outcome from PVPI in the form of the safety signals and drug safety alert is communicated to the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, and direction is given to the manufacturers for the PIL change. And the PVPI also has the collaboration with many national health programs across the country, like National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, National AIDS Control Program of National AIDS Control Organization. Then we also have the collaboration with the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program and the Universal Immunization Program for reporting of the adverse events following immunization. And we provide the complete support to the AEFI Secretariat, the Immunization Technical Support Unit of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. This slide shows the reporting status of the ICSRs from India, and you can see that there has been quite progressive journey of reporting of the ICSRs from 2011 till date, and we are expecting this year to reach the annual submission of individual case safety reports to WHO to exceed 70,000, and ours is the ninth largest reporting national center under the WHO Program for International Drug Monitoring, and this is as per the WHO data, and we have around 6 lakhs of the ICSRs from Indian population which are being sent to the World Health Organization. So this slide shows the reporting status of the ICSRs through the PVPI helpline, and we started this in 2013, and as on date 146 ICSRs have come through the PVPI toll-free number. Then we also train the healthcare professionals and the pharmacovigilance personals, pharmaceutical industry personals in the area of pharmacovigilance. And you can see the trend of the trainings and the number of the trainings which we have provided. You can see that in 2021, we had started the National Pharmacovigilance Week celebrations, and therefore the number of trainings have gone quite up since last year, and we expect this figure to exceed the previous figures this time in this year when we celebrate the National Pharmacovigilance Week. PVPI has come out with many drug safety alert and the safety signals. So we have issued 134 drug safety alerts and 54 package insert changes have been recommended to the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, and they are taking the active step for inclusion of our recommendations in the PILs. And We have identified and confirmed 11 signals, and you can see the list of these signals. Recently, we have identified the minoxidil-induced folliculitis and cephalosporin-induced fixed drug erection. And we acknowledge the support of the experts who are on the board of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India to provide their wholehearted support for the successful running of this program. This slide shows the PIL changes. You can see that the pharmaceutical manufacturers, they have inserted the changes as a measure of the regulatory interventions in their package insert leaflet changes. And this slide shows the average completeness score of the Indian individual case safety reports being sent to WHO, and this blue line depicts that the score of the Indian ICSRs is relatively higher than rest of the countries of the world. And this is a very challenging task to maintain this score and to further upgrade it to reach 200%. This slide shows the status of India. So as on date, we contribute to 1.9% of the total ICSRs to the WHO global database from India, and our ranking is on 9th place. The recommendations of Pharmacovigilance Program of India are also sent to the World Health Organization for publication in WHO Pharmaceuticals newsletter, and you can see that our recommendations have been published in WHO pharmaceutical newsletters. Pharmacovigilance Program of India is also continuously coming out with the resource materials like quarterly publication of newsletters, the annual performance reports of the PVPI, both in the hard copy as well as the soft copy is being uploaded on the website of Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. On demand, the pamphlets are also being sent to the ADR monitoring centers. Posters are also being sent, and all efforts are being made to sensitize the personals through various mechanisms for better reporting of the adverse events. We also have the directory of PVPI, the profile of the Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and the guidance documents for spontaneous reporting of adverse event, as well as the guidance document for the marketing authorization holders. So this slide shows some of these resource materials further, and we have trained more than 2 lakhs of the healthcare professionals through more than 4,000 training and desensitization programs. And our next skill development program is due from 13th of this month to 17th of this month, and we have registered more than 100 participants for this particular program. So you can encourage the personals to join the skill development program, and they can get the benefit from this particular program. Then to enhance the reach of the PVPI, we invite the enrollment letter or the letter of intent, and following a due process of enrollment, we give the approval as the ADR monitoring centers, and thereafter we provide them the technical support and the financial support if their performance is up to the mark. And with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attentive listening.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and informative talk regarding the need of pharmacovigilance program of India, its journey from 1988 till date, and you have nicely compared the clinical trial with an empty road to the post-marketing surveillance with a busy road. Definitely, it's a very nice comparison made by you, sir. And you have nicely elaborated regarding the history of ADRs and the various tools available for ADR reporting and the current reporting status of various ICSRs from the different ADR monitoring centers. It was nice listening to you, sir. Thank you for the whole talk. And without wasting much time, let us move ahead for the next session. May I, sir?
I will just have a quick comment.
Yes, sir. Jalali sir, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Excellent presentation by Dr. Jaiprakash. Very heartening to know that Indian pharmacovigilance system has progressed in these years to its, I must say, they are doing the best that could be done. So great job, sir. And
Thank you very much, sir.
Nice to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jaiprakash, sir.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
So moving ahead for today's session, we'll be having a next session on post-marketing assessment of medicinal products in India. The speaker will be Mr. Somnath Basu, and the moderator for this session will be Dr. Dhriti K. Brahma. So before starting, let me introduce our moderator for this session. Excuse me. Chinmay, Dr. Chinmay, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Please look for the audio system.
Yes.
Disturbance. Okay. So we have our moderator for the next session, Dr. Dhriti Kumar Verma. So this Dr. Brahma is currently the additional professor in the Department of Pharmacology and Clinical Pharmacology at the Northeastern Indira Gandhi Regional Institute of Health and Medical Sciences, Shillong, Meghalaya in India. So he is currently the copy editor of the Journal of Pharmacovigilance and Drug Research also. He has been involved in the pharmacovigilance activities since 1997, when it was first launched in India as a pilot project, and is currently the coordinator of the AMC of the Northeastern Indira Gandhi Institute of Health and Medical Sciences, Shillong, under the PVPI, India. And he has a number of publications on adverse drug reactions and its related topics to his name in various reputed national and international journals. Academically, he has completed his MBBS in 1992 and MD Pharmacology in 1999 from Guwahati Medical College, Guwahati, Assam. And he has been an active faculty member of medical pharmacology in several medical teaching colleges and institutes in various capacities for more than 20 years. Sorry. Okay, sir. So over to you, sir, Dr. Brahma.
Thank you, madam, for your nice introduction.
First of all,
thank you. First of all, greetings to one and all from me. NAGRIMS, Shillong. We call it in short, it is NAGRIMS, Northeastern Indira Gandhi Regional Institute of Health and Medical Sciences. So this relatively in India, our institute is very new. Actually, we had started the MBBS courses since 2008 only. So since that time, actually, we had initiated the pharmacovigilance programs, like starting the teachings of ADR monitoring, ADR reporting, all these issues since 2008. Anyway, I will not waste my time. First of all, greetings to one and all, for everyone, and a warm welcome to each and everyone, and very good morning, warm good morning to everyone. At the very outset, actually, Madam and Dr. Sinmaya also, I take this opportunity to congratulate and thank you for organizing such a congress of such magnitude. Pardon?
Please mute yourself, Srikant. Chinmay, Dr. Chinmay. Sorry, sir.
It's okay. No issue.
Chinmay, please mute.
Yeah, I was telling, like, first of
Sorry,
all, a very thanks and congratulations to ADR Monitoring Center of MKCG Medical College, Berhampur, Orissa, for organizing such a congress of such magnitude. Okay, and congratulations to everyone, each and every member of the college and ADR Monitoring Center, of such now. Without delay, we will start the first session today, actually. First scientific session. Without delay, we will be starting now. And the first session, we are very fortunate to have amongst us our very renowned personality, Dr. Rajinder K. Jalali, sir, who will be chairing the session. Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. May I take this opportunity to give a short introduction of Dr. Jalali, sir? Sir is a postgraduate. Sir is a postgraduate in medicine and has been clinician and pharma industry professional with years of experience in patient care and worked more than 2 decades in pharmaceutical industry. He is also an expert in providing consultation advisory to healthcare companies, including setting up operation in India in areas of pharmacovigilance, clinical trials, and medical writing, etc. Before taking up the current role, he was global head pharmacovigilance and head medical affairs and clinical research, Sun Pharmaceutical Industries. He is also a panel in GLG and Link Global. His expertise has helped in the development of global pharmacovigilance system by providing strategic directions, leadership in pharmacovigilance operations. He is also an expert in managing terms involved in clinical trials through various phases. Apart from all these, Sir has authored book chapters in the title Pharmaceutical Medicine and Transitional Medical Clinical Research and Elsevier publication. So this is a very short introduction to Jalali, sir, and very warm welcome to you, Jalali, sir. Very good morning to you, sir. And warm welcome, and thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Brahma. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm also happy to be associated with the conferences done by Dr. Ramani and Dr. Chinmaya. Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you, Dr. Chinmaya. You're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Once again, warm welcome to you, sir, and hope we'll be having nice interaction in the coming time. Okay, sir. Yes, Dr. Chinmay, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Now we can invite Dr. Basu sir to deliver a talk because he has to.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, the Mr. Basu sir, actually, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Basu as a speaker of the first session of this Congress, today's Congress. So a warm welcome to Basu sir. Basu sir. Yes.
Dr. Basu is here.
Yes, ma'am, he was there. And he had presented his slides also, but
Maybe some connectivity problem.
Technical errors.
I'll call him up.
Okay, in the meantime, may I introduce, give a short introduction of Mr. Basu sir?
Yes, yes.
Actually, Mr. Somnath Basu has completed his academically his BSc, MSc, and PhD biochemistry from the Calcutta University, the then Calcutta University. He has worked in CDL Calcutta as drug analyst for approximately 7 years and joined CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization in India, to work as reviewer of clinical, non-clinical, and CMC data reports submitted by the companies for the drugs for last 10 years. He has also worked in vaccine documents for 6 years. He has actively contributed in dossier review for blood products, medical devices, DNA technology. DNA technology derived drugs for another 7 years. Yes.
I think we have Dr. Basu with us.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Good morning, Basu sir, and very warm welcome to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible, first of all?
Yes, sir. You are very much audible, and we can see you also, sir. Yes.
এবার শেয়ার স্ক্রিন করে শেয়ার
Now it's okay. Slide.
It's okay. I can see the slides also, sir. So sir, let me complete you. Sir, let me complete your short introduction. I was just
sorry.
Yes, sir. So he is currently working as PSUR review since last 3 years and has amended international as well as national conference, attended national and international conferences in CBR, USA, WHO headquarters in Geneva for vaccine vigilance, and PMDA, Japan, for pharmacovigilance settings, and for global initiative for vaccine vigilance. Today, he will be speaking on the post-marketing assessment and medicinal products in India. Before you start, pardon, sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. You are very much audible, sir.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sir.
Good morning to all. There was a little glitch, and I don't know why I got many times this virtual. Some computer I have changed now. So if I am audible, it's okay. Good. I have a disclaimer slide that is okay. Then page down. It's not coming.
In the meantime, sir, may I take this opportunity to request Dr. Jalali, sir, the chairperson of the today's session, to take over the session, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bama, and I would request Dr. Basu to start his presentation. So there is a disclaimer. I am presenting from the New Drugs Clinical Trial Rule 2019, which is framed under Drugs Act. But whatever I am expressing here, that is not my organization. There should not be it should not be constituted as the organization's belief, thought, process, or the condone my organization's reputation. Now the next, the drug regulation pathway. This is the content of my presentation. Drug regulation pathway, drug regulatory authority, then rules and legal statutes for PV and what is PV definition, PV system, PSUR structure, post-market surveillance and rule provisions, current status in CDSCO, and channel of reporting and examination of the e-platform.
So the medical, this is the medical products. Sorry, I have a paper here. The basic philosophy for regulation of the medicines and medicines products in India is that manufacturers and importers are responsible for the quality of the drugs manufactured or imported by them and placed by them in the Indian market. Now, government regulatory agencies like CDSCO and in other countries, there are many NRAs like PMDA and MHRA and Anvisa in Brazil. So they have the monitoring the quality of the drugs in the market in Indian case scenario. Now, monitoring quality of the drugs in the market can be done by post-market surveillance, sampling of the medicines from various places, and then testing at the laboratories. Also, the drug inspectors, they do the periodic inspections of manufacturing and sale premises for conformation to the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and its rules. Now, central government, the Central Drugs Laboratory Standard Control Organization, that is where I belong, and it is a wing of the Directorate General of Health Services, and which comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Now, there are certain laboratories and state governments is there, state government, provincial government in India, in all states, and they have their own health ministries and respective states. Actually, the health sector is in the concurrent list as per the Indian Constitution, and that is why education, health there is a dual responsibilities, and that is why the health ministries of these respective states, they have their own state drug control organizations. Of course, they are complying with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and rules and other rules framed under Act. And there are laboratories like CDL Kasauli for vaccine, CDL Kolkata for testing of the various medicines, RDTL Chandigarh, regional drug testing laboratory, Chandigarh, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai, and Guwahati. Now, state government, they also have their own drug testing laboratories because our states are also very big. So in Indian context, they have their own responsibilities. Now, the thing is that how these philosophy of the drug regulations are made. No, sorry. This is the so this is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, the CDSCO. We have actually some people like officials, like drug control officers and drug inspectors, then assistant drug controller, deputy drug controller, and the topmost boss is the Drugs Controller General India. Under these, there is two statutory bodies. One is the Drug Technical Advisory Board, and another is the Drug DCC, Consultative Committee, Drugs Consultative Committee. So these two bodies, together with our drug control officers, we frame the rules and amendments also in the rules. And there is Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, as Dr. Jayaprakash, as my previous speaker from IPC, he has explained everything very nicely. So there, the main role is the preparations and publishing monographs for the standards of the drugs. Also, they are engaged in the drug testings, and the other area is conducting pharmacovigilance program of the. Hello. 5 minutes whenever you free. Hello. Hello. Some noise is coming. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Am I audible? Hello, Chinmayaji.
Sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay, fine. Now there is a collaborative support within CDSCO and IPC. Both comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now, what is the drugs and now, as I told you, it is the Bible, like Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Under this, we have made the Drugs and Cosmetic Rule, that is 1945, and within that there was a Schedule Y. Now Schedule Y has now recently changed in 2019, and that has come into being the new Drugs and Clinical Trial Rule 2019. In that is again under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act itself. Now there is a medical device rule also in 2017 that regulates the medical devices in the country, and then under new drug clinical trial rules, there are 8 schedules, and within that 8 schedules, out of these 8 schedules, 5th schedule corresponds to the post-marketing assessment, And here we find the phase 4 trial definition, PMS and PSUR, all these components of the post-market assessment. Now, as you know that what is pharmacovigilance, it is very well spoken and in the WHO definition also, so I don't want to read it. It is basically science and activities for detection, assessment, understanding and prevention of the adverse effects. And what is the aim of the PV? Just to provide the reliable, balanced information on safety and efficacy of the medicinal use, to assess the risk-benefit profile of medicines and enhance patient care. The ultimate objective is enhancing patient care, maintain patient safety in use of the medicines, and support public health programs. So that is the WHO definition that I have extracted. Now, next slide is that why PV is required. PV is required because during clinical trial, only limited number of patients are examined with the medicines, and also the limited number, as well as they are very well defined, and concomitant drugs are not used at all. So the data is very scanty. But when the product is thrown into the Indian market or any other country's market, that behaves in a different manner. Different people, different age group of the people, even pregnant ladies and children, they were not tried most of the cases in phase 3 trial. So those were the things. Now, as you know, thalidomide case that was in 59 to 61, and that case was brought about by an Australian doctor, Phocomelia case. That is a serious fetal deformities. Many times, all about this has been spoken by many speakers, and my future speakers will also talk about that. I want to show one more thing is that this lady is Dr. Kelsey, Francis Rodham Kelsey. She got the highest civilian award in 62 from Kennedy because he denied approval of thalidomide in USA, and that circumventing the disastrous effect of children in USA. So those are the histories of pharmacovigilance. Now, what is ADR? ADR is basically a noxious and unintended drug response established by systemic clinical findings and lab investigation findings, which occur at doses normally used doses. And now any medicine, even paracetamol, is taken in 1000 milligram one shot or 1500 milligram, that may cause also various problem. And so it is the normal dose that is important, and also the medicine which is being used, that should be of the standard quality. So keeping these two in mind, you have to judge what adverse reactions are happening when which, and then ADR may occur following a single dose or a prolonged administration. But there is a difference in the side effects. Sometimes side effects are beneficial also. Even sildenafil citrate, which was primarily discovered for the blood pressure lowering agent, then it was found that it inhibits the phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors, and that can be good for the erectile dysfunction. And Pfizer then promoted this drug, and everybody knows sildenafil is now in the market. So side effects sometimes becomes even beneficial. There is another drug, Dr. Reddy's market, that's hair growth promoter. That is actually minoxidil. Minoxidil is a blood pressure lowering agent, basically. It was discovered. So I am not talking about then you, all of you, I think the audience must be knowing the yellow card in MHRA that was also introduced subsequent to the thalidomide tragedy. And that becomes a biggest source of the system and major international PV resources, the yellow cards. And those days there was no electronic platform. So in England also, the yellow card postcard type, the people used to write, people or doctors, everybody. Now, how this this ADR, how PV system works. PV system works by collection of the ADR information in a approved ADR format. Now, like IPC, they have a approved ADR format just to harmonize the cases from any other source. From many sources, it should be harmonized way, and that is why even company can frame their own format according to the need of the product, and then sorting analyzed with respect to the patients and subject exposure and background published scientific data. So first placement of the medicinal product in market should trigger the PV team, whether it is in the government sector or in the private sector, the MHA, market authorization holder, their PV team already assigned jobs. They should be cautious. In fact, I have seen in Japan that they every 2 weeks in the first phase of the introduction into the market. They, every 2 weeks they get report feedback, and in selective centers they allow the medicines, looking at the dangerous effect, maybe assumption. So PV teams should be conscious and active in the market vigilance for undesired, noxious, and listed effects. Some of the listed effects are actually generating from the clinical trial, during clinical trial, especially for biologics, FDCs, and herbal, phytopharma, etc. in India. Now, my next slide is that how a PV system works. PV system of a company should easily enabling and responsive to the reporters in terms of the language, knowledge, and time, and to contact through email, postal letters, and telephone for 24/7 hours, or and the current in the current era this is social media is also effective. Now PV helps patients get well with minimizing risks and managing the optimal and ideal dosing. Now, what are various probable sources of the safety reports? You know, medical inquiries on product and contact us emails and website inquiries forms, training of the market authorization holders, employees, information from the contact persons of a company, from internet, digital, social media, by an organized data collection system like that is happening in, even in IPC also there is a big data collection system, and it is being shared with the Uppsala Monitoring Center. So that is the organized data, and also Uppsala Monitoring Center, there is a data set, huge data. So, and literature monitorings and can be boosted by developing easy to handle format through email, mobile app, fax, and 24/7 helpline and postal letters. So all channels should be open. It's not that electronic only will be feasible in case of India, by meticulous follow-up of any reported incidents. Now, what is PSUR? My central point is PSUR, because we in CDSU actually examine the periodic safety update report. Those are submitted by the companies market. So it is a central document, and that lists all activities, medicinal products, package inserts, prescribing information, labels, job descriptions of the PVY and other PV staffs. So no, this is actually PV system master file I am talking about. That process of the collection and detection of AEs, and process of sorting out analysis of the ADRs, and process of reporting and archiving and maintaining CCDS. So it is on the side of the company, CCDS, company core data sheet, updating of the package literatures, and to keep PVSMF at the company head office. Basically, this master file, pharmacovigilance master file. In fact, IPC also is handling the PV related activities, and from AMCs. So they also have a master file. But from company side, at the company's head office where the PV system is, there the PV master file should be kept. Now, there were two guidelines. I think Dr. Jaiprakash also has already focused on it, that there were two guidelines, one in 2018 for the market authorization holder on the pharmaceutical products, and the second one is for the biologics, that was in 2017. Now, I'm coming to my point that where actually in the rule, the new drug clinical trial, these two statements are very important. One statement is here that company intend to manufacture, import, market a new drug for sale shall have a PV system in place for collecting, processing, forwarding, report to the CLA. CLA means Central Licensing Authority, that is DCGI, emerging from the use of the drug in the country. And second statement is here, that is PV system to be managed by qualified and trained personnel, officer in charge for collection and processing of the data shall be a medical officer or a pharmacist, shall be trained in collection and analysis of the ADR reports. So basic thing is they should be experienced, they should have an appropriate qualification, and ongoing training can be arranged at the company level to run a PV system. And these two are written in here, 5th schedule, sub-rule 1.3 and sub-rule 1.4. Now, the applicant permission for manufacture and import of new drugs, there are two conditions. One condition, as it is I have collected, that is the applicant shall submit the PSUR every 6 months for first 2 years, and subsequent 2 years they can submit it annually. Now after that it is silent. So companies are assuming that it is the 4 years matter only. And the second statement is all reported adverse reactions related to the drug shall be intimated to the DCGI and licensing authority. Licensing authority means here the state drug control authorities are also considered as licensing authorities, because they give the manufacturing license to the companies. So, and then regulatory conditions resulting from their review should be compliant with. So these two statements. So these two conditions in the rule are required to be mentioned because it is a rule. By virtue of rule, the company, whether complying or non-complying, sometimes in the court of the law, the cases run. So that is why these statements are very important and meticulously we have to study. Now, what is phase 4 trial? Phase 4 trial, as per New Drug Clinical Trial Rule 2019, there is a sub-rule. It says that other than routine surveillance is phase 4 trial. It should be performed after the drug approved in the country. As per the approved indication, this is very important that you cannot deviate from the indication which is approved by DCGI. Then only there is a meaning of phase 4 trial. So the DCGI, I mean to say that any national regulatory authority in any country, so to say, you have to focus on the approved indication, and with that indication only you can study in the market. That is phase 4 trial, and that is why it is required for optimizing the drugs use and have valid scientific object. These phase 4 trial protocols should have a valid scientific object. There should be a primary objective, then there will be a secondary objective, then you have to define which kind of the cohort. Suppose during phase 3 clinical trial there were only adult patients 18 to 50 years old. Alendronate sodium has been, alendronate sodium is a drug for the osteoporosis that cannot be studied. So 18 to 45 years, some drug has been tried. Now we don't know what is going to happen in the older cases. So there the phase 4 studies are warranted. And then these phase 4 trial that go beyond the prior demonstrations of the drug safety and efficacy and dose definition. So it has some role beyond the phase 3 trial reports and may not be considered necessary at the time of approval. Yes, at the time of approval, NRA, the top authority, may not be considering that it is required or may consider. That depends upon the expert committee. Then the DCGI suggests that you have to do the phase 4 trial. What are the objectives? That exploring the drug-drug interactions in phase 4 trial, dose response and safety studies, trial designed to support use under approved indications. Approved indication only. For example, mortality and morbidity studies and epidemiological studies, etc. Next phase is what is the post-marketing surveillance, that is close monitoring, surveillance of the new drugs for clinical safety once it is marketed. And PV system of a company can carry out collection, processing of the ADRs emerging from the use. It is the repeated person. Now, there are two issues. One is the active, non-intervening, observational and registry type and sentinel studies, high volume users clinic. At the high volume users clinic, it can be done. And another is the passive, like spontaneous reporting. Now, spontaneous reporting has merits and also demerits. Like demerit is sometimes the people are hesitant, or the doctors or the pharmacists are hesitant to report, fearing something. So there is a requirement of active surveillance also at certain point of time. Now, now I am coming to the PSUR. PSUR is a succinct document for submission of the NRAs to NRAs. It is a basically aggregate report of say 6 months what ICSR, individual case safety report, has come. Let us examine the gravity of these case reports and what benefits the patients are getting. So you have to judge the benefit and safety assessment. So amount of ADRs that should be in proportionate to the patient exposure. Of course, it varies from drug to drug, case to case basis. Oncology drugs, more or less, many ADR reports can come. Marketing and regulatory status in different countries. So these are the points which are conglomerated or assembled in the PSUR. That is marketing and regulatory status in different countries. Say, for example, GSK's one drug, or that Dasat, any drug that is marketed in 148 countries altogether. So their status, somewhere it is marketing, somewhere it may be suspended, or somewhere it can be withdrawn from the market. So all these things has to be discussed in PSUR. And significant safety issues, if at all, coming from any country, that has to be highlighted in the PSUR. And also indication from the company side whether there is a change required in the product prescribing information or not. So the company has to come out with all such decisions. Now, where to submit the PSUR? PSUR is always related to only new drugs here in India. And Europe, there is a timeline for various categories of the drugs and even various drugs, and they make out the lists that every 3 years or every 4 years or every 5 years the PSUR has to, but they do not stop submission of the PSUR in Europe. Even fluoroquinolone drugs are still under judgment of the PRAC, the Pharmacovigilance Review Approval Committee. PRAC. So manufacturers and importer marketeers shall submit PSUR to the licensing authority. Here I have mentioned two, SLA and CLA. SLA state licensing authority and CLA central licensing authority. That is DCGI. Now PSUR has a structure like it has a title page, then introduction of the medicine, then current worldwide market status, update of actions taken for the safety reasons, changes in the reference safety informations, and then estimated patient exposure, list of individual case histories, ongoing and completed studies till DLP. So we at CDSCO examine all these things, overall safety evaluation, and we go into the details of the prescribing information. Some we have found many missing informations, even the container closure systems are sometimes missing in the prescribing information for an injectable formulation. So we, in the review report, we mention it to the companies that you have to put this indications is somewhat deviated or extended kind of thing, how it has happened. So those questions will arise during the PSUR review. So prescribing information basically gives that dosing pattern, pharmacology, pharmacokinetics aspects, then what is the approved indication, and out of indication, agar some use is there, then what has happened in other countries, those things. Now, CDSCO, I'm coming to my finishing area, that CDSCO, I'm just conveying the what is currently happening in the CDSCO. CDSCO has 10 senior PV associates, all are either M pharmacology, M-Pharm pharmacology, or PharmD with experience. And these PV associates are approved by Ministry of Health in 2019. So we are routinely reviewing the PSURs by this team of the 10 PV associates. Approximately, now it is almost 2,000 review reports of PSURs of various combinations, recombinant drugs, vaccines, human vaccines, MMR, MR vaccines, cholera vaccines, Sanpol, and rotavirus vaccines. So those we have examined, and also animal vaccine, foulpox vaccines, Ranichet disease vaccines. These are for the animal vaccines. Those also we have examined. And new drugs, there are many new drugs every year coming through the approval of the subject expert committee in our office, that we are also examining. Then there are blood products like factor 8, factor 10 for the hemophilia patients, and also the immunoglobulin, IVIG. So those things we are examining. And then medical devices also, a few only we have examined, not much. And one stem cell derived biologics also we have examined for the PSUR review. And we have created two special channel for reporting. One channel is dedicated for the pharma.covig at cdsco.nic.in. This is for routine submission when we are getting for almost all big companies, Lupin, GSK, Cipla, coronavirus, Covishield, and Covaxin, and Zydus Cadila vaccine, all vaccine related reports. Even we are collecting it from the Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. The Covishield related ADR reports are coming into this channel. The first one, pharma.covig, cdsco.nic. This is basically main. It is not mail service, mailing service. This is not unlike the IPC one. IPC has a different tool and it is well developed. So, but IPC is collecting from only from the domestic market, and we are collecting it. But there is a question that what to do with these mail services.
I mean, this channel, the first one,
hello. And then psur.drugs@cdsco.nic.in. This is exclusively for the PSUR submission from all market authorization holders, the manufacturer and marketeer. They are submitting. And we are collecting downloading the PDF from this mail, and then it is we are putting into the another platform that is in our office, that is e-office. e-office service from the National Informatics Centers. And e-office tool is that there we can put our comments, and we can our review, we can put their comments and our opinions, and then we send it to our higher officers. With the approval of the higher officer, we prepare a letter, and that is again sent through the PSUR.drugs. And we are sharing this PSUR review report to the National Medical Commission, Indian Nursing Council. We have also shared with IPC, Pharmacovigilance Program of India, then Ministry of Health, the AEFI Committee and Immunization Division, and various doctors associations, etc. We are sharing. So the key messages for this presentation is that we have to appraise of the new drug clinical trial rules. Especially this audience is related to pharmacovigilance. They should read. I would recommend to read the 5th schedule, only 5th schedule. There are many other schedules. One is for ethics committee, one is for the manufacturing, for import, for compensation injuries. There are many schedules. So I'm talking about only 5th schedule. And then post the prescribing information, that is a very important critical document that is actually agreed between the regulatory body and the company. And because that is the primary tool which is going to the doctors directly about the product. It is the products, the whole history is presented in a succinct manner. Now, there is a risk management plan that is altogether different from the prescribing information assess, and these are all dynamics documents, the prescribing information or the risk management plan or the patient information leaflet. Suppose a medicine has to stay in the country for next 30 years. So signal is coming and many risks may be found out during course of the management. So all those things has to be discussed in the risk management plan, and also there is a process. Then benefit evaluation has to be done, then overall safety evaluation, benefit risk analysis, those terms we have to concentrate. This is our take home message. And significant safety findings from the non-clinical, non-interventional studies, and then patient exposure in clinical trial and marketing experience, and reference safety information. In case of the reference safety information, at the time of the beginning of the licensing, the reference safety information must be the non-clinical and clinical part that has been carried out before approval. Now, at the time of marketing, say, let's say for the 10 years down the line, the reference safety information can be considered as the prescribing information. So this is an ongoing process. So now with this information, if any question is there, I want to finish this presentation with this slide. Thank you so much. And please ask if any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Basu, for the excellent presentation. And just one query that from my end, that are phase 4 trials mandatory? And if not, so are there any regulations when phase 4 should be ordered?
No, phase 4 is not mandatory actually. Phase 4, it is up to the, as DCGI, we have these committees, subject expert committee, and they decide. Sometimes there are scanty documentations and scanty data at the time of approval phase. So in that case, the phase 4 studies are warranted. And sometimes some companies are also coming out with a phase 4 study protocol, they themselves. So it is basically a case-to-case basis, and depending upon the nature of the drug, basically, I would say. And also depending
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So are there any more questions, Dr. Brahma?
As per this chat box, there are no questions, sir. There is not a single question, sir. Okay. Some comments are there. So in case like if anyone has question, I think we are running short of time also. They can directly contact to Basu sir, maybe like
my phone number can be shared, and I would be glad to share my views points. Thank you.
It's very nice, sir. Thank you for your very nice presentation regarding the post-marketing assessment and medical products, particularly in the Indian context, and particularly the information regarding the PSURs. Thank you for it, sir. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, sir.
Since we are running short of time, it's running behind schedule.
Yeah, I have to go somewhere, so that is why I was little bit in hurry.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot once again, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. With the permission of the chair, can we move ahead, sir?
Yeah, please, sir.
Next session, next speaker is our respected Madam Dr. Pratibha Nadik. Madam is available.
Sir, sir, can Dr. Basu stop his presentation?
Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Any question?
No, I was telling to stop your presentation so that we can proceed.
Stop sharing, sir.
Yeah, stop.
Madam, stop sharing.
Yes, I did. Did that, sir. Thank you.
Moving ahead, this next speaker is Dr. Pratibha Nadik is a postgraduate in pharmacology. She is currently the professor and head of pharmacology at the Dr. Chandrama Dayananda Sagar Institute of Medical Education and Research. She is also working on precision medicine in tuberculosis to prevent multi-drug resistance. She has been the head of the Department of Pharmacology at Vaidehi Institute of Medical Sciences Research Center. Apart from guiding undergraduates, postgraduates, and PhD students in pharmacology and pharmacovigilance, she is also has several national and international publications to her credit. We are very thankful to you, Madam Sir, for sharing your time and coming here. And Madam will be presenting. Madam, we are very thankful to you for coming here. And today's Madam will be presenting on precision medicine for preventive adverse drug reactions. Madam, please go ahead.
Okay. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, audible, and we can.
Am
see
I audible? Yeah.
Yes, we can see you present slide.
Can you see the slides?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Does it mention precision medicine to prevent adverse drug reactions?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
Okay. Please go ahead, madam. Yeah.
Welcome, Pratibha Madam.
Very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Madam. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present one of my favorite topics. And thanks, Chinmaya, Dr. Roja Ramli, Dr. Rajendra Jalali sir, Dr. Jay Prakash, Dr. Basu for extensive support in organizing this conference and giving me this opportunity once again. Thank you, dear audience, for being here. Some of you are my students, some of my colleagues, and many more globally. So, precision, my topic, which I have chosen, is precision medicine to prevent adverse drug reactions. Precision always means accuracy. And when we are dealing with more so with the drugs or surgeries, we are dealing with their lives. And we need to be as precise as possible, as much as possible. Always we say to err is human, and we do commit mistakes. And in spite of taking lot of precautions, there are chances that we commit mistakes, and at times it may result in losing a patient's life. Therefore, of late, all the specialities, different disciplines have come together and focused on patient safety. They are using their own skills to contribute, to complement each other, and then ensure that the physician is able to give the best maximum, the treatment which gives maximum effects with minimal damage to the patients. That is what precision actually means, and it is more of patient-centric. Just as in medical education, I see some of my colleagues, we used to go on teaching, giving didactic lectures about 4 or 5 decades ago, without actually analyzing how our students are imbibing or assimilating. Similarly, even in therapeutics, we went on prescribing drugs based on what the pharma manufacturers, sponsor companies used to give us the data based on clinical trials. No doubt they used to do extensive research and come up. And we went on prescribing based on that data without actually understanding who are the patients who are responding actually in the real world settings, who are not responding. We did not go beyond that. We started changing the medications once the patient did not respond, or the patient did not, or the patient developed adverse drug reactions. Therefore, it is to understand as the patients or consumers are becoming more aware, they are asking more questions, technology is improving, biotechnology is coming out with various developments. We are able to go more deeper, and we are able to focus on understanding the patient factors which can aid, which can help us to minimize the adverse drug reactions, more so the rare and serious adverse drug reactions. With that introduction, I would like to just run through what is the burden of adverse drug reactions now. My previous esteemed speakers have given the complete detailed overview of what is pharmacovigilance, what actually is an adverse drug reaction, how we have progressed over several years, and more so I must appreciate the development in Indian scenario, how we have been able to collect lot of the number of adverse drug reactions, that is the quantity as well as the quality. We have been able to improvise with lot of coordinated efforts at various centers. In spite of that, this was the old publication which said 6.7% of hospitalized patients have serious adverse drug reaction with a mortality rate of 0.32%. Later, recent 2012, 10 years back, adverse reactions, Edwards et al. Gave the statement, they represent a silent but persistent pandemic, and death due to ADR is ranked as 5th most frequent cause of death in developed countries. Very interesting article I came across recently. Worthimer published in Journal of Pharmacovigilance. He says ADR account for 4th leading cause of death in United States. That was reported in 2015. Then he has quoted another very important statement. The famous Wall Street Journal has reported that an Indian pharmacovigilance contract research organization and 6 lakhs adverse drug reaction reports to the regulators of USA in 1 year. So there is mushrooming and there is an exponential growth of CROs who work in pharmacovigilance industry. We have one of the eminent speakers too today, Dr. J. Vijay Venkatraman, who is also running this pharmacovigilance contract research organization. And lot of reports come from global centers to India also. And this is what they have mentioned. That means to say this much is the burden of ADR in the entire world. And this report comes from the United States. As we all know, I need this background to talk about precision medicine. Basically, there are A, B, C, D, E, and F also. There are the types of adverse drug reactions, but basically, most common type of reactions are type A and type B. Type A refers to augmented, that is extension of their pharmacological activity. These are predictable and these are most common. They are predictable because their pharmacological actions and the organs on which they act is reasonably known, so we can predict them. So, for example, hypoglycemia is an extended action with oral hypoglycemic drugs. Similarly, excessive bleeding with warfarin is also known. Still, we observe them. We know about these drugs, but still they are happening. Let's see why and how. Type B reactions are usually idiosyncratic, they are unpredictable, and these are rare reactions, and they are generally not detected in clinical trials. Therefore, our pharmacovigilance becomes more important in identifying these because they start appearing in the real world situations. Where is the problem then? Why this burden we are talking about? It is still the same, more or less the same, or it is increasing. There are several reasons that are explained for this, as we said, persistent pandemic or 4th common cause of death or persistent serious adverse drug reactions. We have seen lot of developments in reporting, lot of developments in coordination, the regulators, the pharma manufacturers. There are so many efforts done at all levels. Where is the problem which we have not been able to completely address? The goal of pharmacovigilance, after the monitoring and assessment, evaluations, analysis, and regulatory actions, all this are basically to prevent. Are we able to prevent? So let us see some facts which are there right now, and then we shall see how the developments have already started in this direction. So basically the source of adverse drug reactions are voluntary reporting system, that is the spontaneous reporting of ADRs, and electronic databases, published case reports, electronic health records. This happens throughout the globe. However, if all of you, I'm sure you will agree with me, that in spite of getting the numbers, we still don't have complete data. We don't have data on the follow-up. Very few audits have taken place. With all this, the true incidence of ADRs may not be reflected. Secondly, the regulatory decisions, when we get all these reports, and either at the pharma companies or at the government levels, at all in all the countries, they analyze these reports, come out with signal detection, and based on the statistics, they link the drug and the adverse effect. That mostly give the incidence. Individual patient factors are not focused upon. They are often overlooked. In the sense, there is a individual case safety report. We have the patient data, we have the drug, and we have a temporal relationship, and we call it as an adverse event. But what caused that adverse event? What were the contributory factors? What were other epidemiological factors? These factors are not emphasized. I understand that we first need to make an awareness. We need to get more data so that some data, but now it is the time for us to go beyond that and we focus on the individual patient factors. A very interesting thing I will explain from the WHO database. Before that, why we should take all this data into consideration is because for an adverse drug reaction, we cannot blame only the drug. We cannot blame only the manufacturer. There are various factors that are contributing, such as the age, the gender, their habits such as consumption of alcohol, comorbidities, whether they have liver disease, renal diseases, cardiac diseases, or whether the patient is pregnant, whether the patient is smoking, what happens to his BMI, is he an obese patient or malnourished patient? So both of these can contribute, and concurrent medication, ethnicity, and above all, there is a genetic factor also. So all the determinants of an adverse drug reaction, rather than saying that carbamazepine produces Steven-Johnson syndrome, we need to understand what were the contributory factors, and then only our analysis of the adverse drug reaction is complete. Are we in that state? Do we have so much data? I came across an interesting statement from Uppsala Monitoring Center. So they said, apart from statistical analysis of ISCRs, when the individual case reports were screened for safety issues in specific groups of patients, that means when they stratified them based on age, gender, body mass index, or any other whatever diseases they were affected with, or from specific geographical area. When all these factors were considered, I am reproducing exact statement. They said we were able to pinpoint drug adverse event combinations that appeared more frequent than expected in specific group of patients, but that would have gone unnoticed in the entire population. When we do the mass analysis, when we do the statistical, I'm not commenting, but definitely it has evolved, and I'm sure the industry and the regulators deep into that. But the concept is that when you analyze into specific subgroups, when you stratify them, then actually we will come to know who is affected with this adverse drug reaction. And as I said, what are the contributory factors for that, so that the drug is labeled appropriately and it remains in the market for longer time, and we do not ban or take any other action for a drug which is very well researched, let it reach the suitable population. That is what is the aim of going into patient specific factors. So then they say the results. Can you please mute? Can you please mute, sir? So the results are promising so far, they say, suggesting we could soon be ushering in a new era of precision pharmacovigilance. This comes from the WHO Uppsala Monitoring Center. So they say soon we will be ushering in a new era of precision pharmacovigilance. This report was published in 2019 and they started focusing in this way. They slightly modified their approach towards analysis in 2017 and this publication comes in 2019. Is it a new, this concept, precision medicine? Don't we know that anti-tubercular drug produces hepatotoxicity in individuals, in some individuals? We all know that, who are slow acetylators. Primaquine produces hemolysis in few individuals where there is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. And not all drug-sensitive tuberculosis patients respond. And they say about 10 to 35% of tuberculosis patients develop acquired drug resistance. Now, who are those who develop acquired drug resistance? That needs to be studied. But we all know that these are all the facts that are already there. So there are various guidelines that have come up for the management of major diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, congestive cardiac failure. We have standard treatment guidelines for majority of the diseases in India. Recently, CDC has wonderfully released about 15 standard treatment guidelines, which we also recommend to students, and we expect our medical students to know about what are the standard protocols based on which the physicians could modify based on their requirement to some extent. So these guidelines, internationally accepted guidelines, have also started following precision medicine. So this was an old one, but nevertheless, what drug should be given to a diabetic in presence of kidney failure? What drug should be given when it is associated with hypertension? These are some of the factors which are linked. But now we are supposed to go beyond. So during the COVID pandemic, I'm sure all of you have seen that there are a lot of companies, IT companies and biotechnology companies, which came up with number of wearable devices to understand the lifestyle, nutrition, so many individual the patient factors which are likely to influence the response to diabetes treatment. So likewise, these have to be incorporated in the guidelines. Now the time has come to incorporate more patient factors, more than what is already been given in these guidelines. And they should come out with some algorithm so that we can predict what is going to happen at the time of initiating treatment. We all know this. We monitor. Something goes wrong, you change the drug. This patient has not responded. This patient needs an additional treatment. Or we add another drug. We never go and analyze why he has not responded. So that for the next patient, if the patient has some factor which will not make him respond, we can implement that to the next patient. So that is a research that is being done already. And there's a lot of, many IT professionals are getting into this. Similarly, the guidelines for the management of hypertension, we established the goal and we have considered some conditions such as diabetes or chronic kidney disease, but not beyond that. For example, we don't take into the lifestyle, we don't take the factors such as nutrition. All these need to be understood, analyzed, and then we need to find out what suits which patient. So therefore, precision medicine is a patient-centric medicine. It is multidisciplinary, where clinicians, pharmacologists, biotechnologists, pharmacists, molecular biologists, pathologists, and information technology specialists, together they form a team and they understand each other, and then they come out with solutions which are used to prevent diseases, which are used to predict and prevent the adverse drug reactions, particularly when the drug is critical, but we know that it can result in serious adverse drug reactions. We neither want to stop treatment, stop initiating this drug, but we don't want the patient to suffer, these are the tools that are going to be very, very beneficial to us. So it answers these questions. Why does the disease occur in some individuals only? Why does a drug not work in some individuals? Why does a drug cause an adverse drug reaction in some and not in everyone? Why do some and not all develop complications of a disease? So all these answering these questions, we must be able to answer these questions so that we are able to predict more accurately which treatment and prevention strategies for a particular disease will work, and they work in which group of people, or who will develop adverse effects. So as I said, we are going to stratify them based on um, combining all the disciplines. It is not only clinicians who are involved. Clinicians' judgment is final, but inputs from the clinicians to be taken by other disciplines, and together they develop a tool. So precision medicine is somewhat like this. It works like this. So there is this patient population. Standard approach used to be give this treatment and say 20% of the people benefit from this, 70%, 80%, and then we leave it there. When we analyze the data from clinical trials, that is what it is. Some of you would have worked, and then the outcome measures are what proportion of patients show a reduction of blood pressure by 20%, what proportion of patients show reduction of diabetes, HbA1c by 20%, something like that we fix. But now we don't limit to that. We will design the treatments based on their individual characteristics. It is a tailor-made approach to different categories. How are these categorized? We will see in my further slides. So basically the principle is one size does not fit all. One size does not fit all. If it doesn't fit, it's fine. If it doesn't produce its effects, it's fine. But what we are concerned is that size should not produce adverse drug reactions. It should not be harmful. If it doesn't produce any effects, that is okay. But we don't want the drug to produce harmful effects. So it is a redefined approach that takes into account individual variability in terms of their genes, their environment, their lifestyle. All these are taken into considerations. And for adverse drug reactions, it goes beyond that. We need to take their concomitant, as I have already described. It takes into consideration their co-administrations, their comorbidities, and their age, the gender, ethnicity, geographical area where they are located, occupation. So many of these factors are likely to influence the development of adverse drug reaction. So based on the objectives, this is based on 4 objectives, 4 P's: prediction, prevention, personalization, and participation. Participation of all the disciplines as well as participation of the patients. I came across another guideline which was not from ADA, but somebody has developed a comprehensive care for diabetes where they have included the patient's inputs also. I'm sure all of you will agree, when a physician wants to treat diabetes, he wants the active participation of the patient. And nowadays they have started developing the plan where the patient is also included in planning. That is very important because he is the end user. We know how feasible it is for him to implement whatever the physician is saying. The patient knows how much he is able to implement. So active participation by the patient is another unique feature in precision medicine. So together they work, the physician, patients, and then all the disciplines contribute to this development of this algorithm. So implementing precision medicine in pharmacovigilance, in this, all these stakeholders participate. There is an immense role of physician and other healthcare professionals who work as reporters of adverse drug reactions, the pharmaceutical companies and the regulators, the hospital administrators, researchers, and patients. So precision in prescribing is the first step to prevent adverse drug reactions. precision in prescribing. So whatever has been practiced so far, we are giving a final shape to that. Due consideration must be given to history of allergy, age, gender, body mass index, comorbidities, concomitant medications, contraindications to prescribed drug. All these must be considered while prescribing to decide the suitability of medications to a given patient. Before we run into higher technological methods, let us understand that we are so busy treating patients that sometimes some of these are missed out and then it results in irrational prescription. So there must be some methodology where the clinician is assisted. He is very busy. So nowadays in India, and I'm sure everywhere, role of clinical pharmacist becomes very important, who supports in data collection without missing any of this. Everything goes in a checklist. Without missing any of these, everything is recorded. And based on that, the physician has to prescribe. Very ideal situation, which is very difficult to practice. And I'm sure in the large volume of patient flow, it will be missed and it may result in ADR. So for that, the technologists, so for example, prescribing an opioid for an old man with COPD for a post-surgical pain. Post-surgical pain, if we give opioid, we normally give tramadol is given, or maybe for a severe pain, morphine may be given. But if he's an old man and he has COPD, this is a contraindication. However, on the other hand, if he's young man with no comorbidities, the same drug becomes effective. So all these things must be given due consideration. And as I said, practically it becomes a little difficult to not to miss any of these. Therefore, very interestingly, we have the CDSS, Clinical Decision Support System. So basically, it is a software I'm sure some of you may be using. In many hospitals in India are using, not many, few of them, particularly those who have electronic medical records. So this is integrated into electronic medical records, and whenever the person wants to prescribe, when it is integrated, it will send an alert. So the software is programmed or can be modified based on our inputs in such a way that if I want to prescribe, as I told in the previous experiment, age 80 years, COPD, he has undergone herniorrhaphy, then I will put morphine. Immediately the CDSS will say not indicated. So that is a support from technology which is already in place, and this is proven to be useful in preventing adverse drug reaction. This is one of the tool which has been successful in implementing precision medicine, provided we have electronic medical record. Wherever we don't have electronic medical record, it is a responsibility of the clinicians who are prescribing to be assisted by the juniors or clinical pharmacists. I'm sure will be of great help to assist them in documentation. But soon we should move towards all the hospitals should move towards electronic medical records. Then secondly, precision dosing. As we said, adverse drug reaction is a reaction noxious unintended effect which occurs at doses normally used in man. Now, who decides the normal dose? That comes with the clinical trial. Clinical trial would have specified a particular dose, but the category of patients who are incorporated, who are recruited for clinical trial is very limited, and there is no diversity. Actual diversity comes when we start prescribing in a real world setting. There you will start understanding that the dose which was prescribed, which was considered to be normal, patient, he has some other characteristics. So based on that, you should have precision dosing. Lot of developments, very interestingly, many of these pharma industries have worked towards that, and they have come up with many suggestions, and the regulatory also, FDA has, I will discuss some labeling for precision dosing. So it is critical for drugs with narrow therapeutic index such as lithium, drugs with large pharmacokinetic or pharmacodynamic variability such as phenytoin or warfarin, and where disease state characters such as liver and kidney dysfunctions are going to affect, such as metformin, is not is going to be altered for where there's kidney dysfunction or totally to be avoided. And of course, genetic variations. For example, we have rapid acetylators for INH. And therefore, these here we should consider their genotype, which of course is not possible everywhere, but wherever possible, I'm sure some centers such as KM, Mumbai, Chipmar, and all those have got facilities. So there they could very well implement, and I'm sure I heard it's implemented in some centers in India. So dosing is critical for these. I'm speaking from clinical point of view, and I will slowly come to the entire for all the stakeholders. So here dosing is very critical. And what is the development that has happened in this is we have different kinds of kits that are available, which will detect the patients who are susceptible for the normal dose. We'll discuss about that. So precision dosing is guided by patient details, as I mentioned earlier. What are those details? Allergy, age, gender, body mass index, all these come under patient details. And then we have therapeutic drug monitoring and pharmacogenomics, and many more omics are underway. Actually, it's not only genomics. So at present, there are a lot of developments and lot of implementation. Actually, they are into force. The clinicians are using it, and they are preventing adverse drug reactions. So patient details, as I told, clinical decision support system could be a very good tool to decide on this dose. Then what is therapeutic drug monitoring? We measure the drug concentrations in the blood and assess whether they are in the therapeutic range or not. If their range again is defined by the manufacturer, of course it is updated based on the information which they keep getting. So basically we measure the therapeutic concentration based on which we are going to decide the right dosing. And these are not widely employed because they are not affordable. The equipments which we measure, which are used to measure, are not there in all the hospitals, not even in many hospitals. They are present in very few centers, not even in all the tertiary care hospitals. Therefore, we restrict them to use for the drugs that have narrow therapeutic range, as I said, such as phenytoin, warfarin, lithium, and drugs that show interpatient variability in pharmacokinetics, that drugs that show a large interpatient variability in pharmacokinetics. That means if it goes beyond the range, it is toxic. Beyond the upper limit, it becomes toxic. Beyond the lower limit, it doesn't show any therapeutic effect. That is a therapeutic range. We expect the drugs to have that therapeutic range. And this is being practiced definitely.
Hello, ma'am.
Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, madam, very much. You can see.
So, however, availability of these assays at bedside is a major challenge, as I told you. In fact, we started with therapeutic drug monitoring we wanted to estimate using the INH and rifampicin concentration. Very few centers do, and what I learned was it is CMC Vellore and NIRT Chennai or KM Mumbai. Very few centers in the country actually, but this TDM.
Actually, I want to talk about Zidovudin.
Zidovudin, yes, sir, please.
Ma'am, I'm your ma'am junior.
Who is this? Okay.
Ma'am, from MKCG.
Okay. Yeah, please. Can we discuss at the end?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, please make it a point. Okay, I will call. Yeah. So
you can put your question. Sorry for the interruption, madam.
Yeah.
You can put your question in the chat box.
Problem. We could also discuss, but only thing is that is I'm sure the discussion will be more interesting, but we'll have it in the end, right? So availability of these assays at bedside is a major challenge for implementation, and lot of research and innovations are needed. So we talked about therapeutic drug monitoring to guide the precision dosing. So when you take the drug concentrations into consideration, we will titrate the dose, whatever is the appropriate dose. If there is generally what happens is there is an ADR, and then we check the blood levels, and then we know this ADR is due to higher drug levels, and then we reduce the dose. In precision medicine, we will check the concentration right in the beginning, give the first dose and see whether this patient is developing adequate concentration or is going beyond that. Accordingly, you titrate so that you prevent the adverse drug reaction. You are not allowing the ADR to happen. Currently, we are using TDM in many cases for prevention as well as to treat once it develops. Both ways we are using. So then we have genomics. What is this genomics? Individual variation we talked about. So the drug is metabolized in the body and it also acts on its targets. So both of these are proteins and the genes coding for these proteins could be either mutated or there could be some polymorphisms. More than the mutation, it is the polymorphism. That means there's a mild variation which could alter, as we said, which could either produce adverse effect or it could produce a lesser concentration, lower bioavailability. So we want both. We want the effects and we don't want the adverse drug reaction. Lack of efficacy also we are reporting as the, it's not an adverse drug reaction, but we are reporting in pharmacovigilance. So we need to take care of both, that the drug is producing an effect and the drug has minimal adverse effects or no adverse effects. So polymorphism in the genes which code for drug metabolizing enzymes or drug transporter proteins have been associated with adverse drug reactions. So for example, this thiopurine methyltransferase is the one which metabolizes azathioprine, which is used in cancers as well as immunosuppressants in organ transplantation. Very useful drug. But some individuals have these variations in TPMT. So what happens is it doesn't get metabolized. Therefore, we can screen them in advance, whether this patient is able to metabolize or not, whether he is having this variant or not. So if we could apply that in the beginning, then we know who can respond without adverse effect and can respond with adverse effect. So this is in practice now. This part of precision medicine is in practice. We have a screening kit that's called TPMT screening kit for azathioprine. So very wonderful innovation, I should say. It has helped many patients and they have done a lot of studies on this and there are publications you can go through. Similarly for warfarin, so there is wide inter-individual variability in the dose of warfarin for target anticoagulation. Apart from lifestyle factors discussed earlier, genetic factors influence in both kinetics and dynamics. Here, the warfarin metabolizing enzyme also there is variation and the target called VCOR-C1. So this also there is variation. And lot of initially when it was released, people said no, not many show bleeding tendencies. So the dose is okay. But over a period of time, they observed that it is not that small. There are large number of patients and it's an important drug. So then the FDA asked them to screen and they developed the kits. And now this is a label, FDA drug label for warfarin. Again, a very interesting development. So they have mentioned if this is the variant, what is the dose to be given? And if this is a variant, what dose to be given? So this variant, this combination, look at this, CYP variant. So I will not get into the alleles and details of genetics. Whatever is relevant for us, I'm going to explain. So there is a variation, gene that encodes for this protein target. So if this is, there are 3 types of variations and here there are so many types. So if this is a combination, this should be your dose. If this is the combination, this should be your dose. So like that, FDA has prepared a drug label based on this pharmacogenomics and based on that warfarin doses are prescribed. But again, as I told you, it is only in developed countries in few hospitals. In India, not all patients go, they still depend on INR, but this is the ideal way to prescribe. Then we have, this is all type A because it's an extended, warfarin produces excessive bleeding. It is an extended type A reaction. For reactions such as type B, idiosyncratic reactions, we have seen Stevens-Johnson syndrome or toxic epidermal necrolysis, drug-induced liver injury. All these have immune pathogenesis and extensive research has taken place and they have found out that HLA-B 5701, HLA-B 1502. These are important, some of the examples where immune markers have been identified. Very interestingly, this carbamazepine-induced Stevens-Johnson syndrome or toxic epidermal necrolysis is seen in some Southeast Asian populations, and all of you are aware of that because I think about 5 years back this became very important thing, and lot of reports started coming to PVPI also. And I should say that when I was in Vaidehi Institute, from 2010, I was working as a coordinator from my department. We have seen 6 cases of carbamazepine-induced SJS, and it is one of the, these cases have contributed for analysis of carbamazepine, and then they developed the kit to screen. Carbamazepine is a very useful anti-epileptic drug, and in the absence of this, people started switching on to levetiracetam, which was not extensively studied yet. And still we have lot of issues with the adverse drug reactions of levetiracetam when they are used in epilepsy. And in our center itself, we had some studies going on with postgraduates, and they have identified number of adverse drug reactions. Carbamazepine, yes, it produced SGS, but otherwise it was well tolerated. Few individuals showed this reaction, and when they started analyzing their sample, they found out that it is due to HLA. And interestingly, Indian labs also have come out with genotyping test indigenously produced in India. And there are many more such kits available for HLA screening for carbamazepine 1502. And they have validated, in fact, they have done clinical trials, shown that pre-prescription testing reduces the incidence of ADRs to carbamazepine. So this is where the precision medicine has played a major role, I should say, because we have retained carbamazepine. By screening these patients, we exclude those patients and then give it to those patients who are likely to be benefited, because this is one of the time-tested, cost-effective anti-epileptic medication. So this is one. Apart from genomics, we have other omics as tools in pharmacovigilance, which are emerging. We just now described about individual variations in genes that code for the protein, such as drug metabolizing enzyme or drug targets. So genomics, this is very useful in preventing adverse drug reactions and also for targeted therapy in oncology. Apart from that, there are individual variations in expression of genes. So genes may be, there may be variation, the variant may be there, not be expressed. So that is called transcriptomics. That is the next step of genomics, and where we study the expression. So CBNAT is one of the diagnostic tool used in measuring the drugs, the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it is come in the National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, where we estimate the nucleic acid. It is a cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test. We use it for screening. So that is transcriptomics. Then individual variations at the level of certain receptors. Already there are receptors. So targets, we see the membrane receptors and see whether it is there or not, but that is proteomics. And one of the important is HER2 receptor expression and trastuzumab used in oncology. Individual variations at the level of metabolites and low molecular weight molecules in biological specimen, they can also be of guide. So these are all the omics tools used in precision medicine. I mean to say omics as tools in pharmacovigilance, particularly precision pharmacovigilance. There, any of these are all under research. All of you may be thinking that we are still in the level of collecting the data. So these would be high-end, but no, it can run parallelly. And we have expertise in all the countries, and in India, it is just rising now. So when people are available, interested institutions are there, we could very well make use of this, integrate with the ISCRs, and then we can come out with something useful for prevention. So all these precisely predict the target diseases and of course the adverse drug reaction. So any of these levels we can use for prevention and prediction of adverse drug reactions. In genomics, I'm not going into all the other omics, but in genomics, just to give a overview that there is a sequencing of individual DNA, which is compared with reference database. And then we will identify whether there is mutation or single nucleotide polymorphism. I'm not an expert in genetics, but I know the concepts and I'm trying to simplify whatever is relevant for us as pharmacovigilance experts. Now comes the artificial intelligence or predictive analytics. This is not very complicated if we understand what is actually used. We will get to know what is the concept in artificial intelligence. So here, these are statistical and machine learning models to predict outcomes from observational data. So the use of artificial technology here is we feed the data, whatever we have from ISCRs, and repeatedly we make the system learn these things and predict. They have a tool, they are experts. We can connect with them and make them understand what we want, and they will help us to predict. But the sample size and the data that we are feeding into this system must be very authentic, and it should be of reasonable size. The sample size and the statistical correlations and all these things must be taken care. Then we are going to get wonderfully predictive models. That is called artificial intelligence. The tool is precise when it is developed based on patient epidemiological data and specific biomarkers. It is more precise when it is developed based on patient epidemiological data and specific biomarkers. And very interestingly, I came across Harvard Medical School and the Novartis Institutes of Biomedical Research. They have done a lot of work on this, and they have uncovered 221 associations between individual proteins and specific adverse drug reactions. Some of these were known, some are unknown. They have identified, they have taken the data from preclinical models as well as clinical models. I mean, wherever there was an ADR, there is a patient. So they have collected all this data and then understood who is developing this adverse drug reaction, what are the characteristics of this, what were the protein markers in this to this, and they have linked it, and they have found very useful associations, and that indicated which proteins likely represent drug targets that contribute to particular side effects. Now you understand, if we screen this just like we did TPMT, here also if they can screen these targets, they will help to predict ADRs before even initiating the clinical trials. So they have done a retrospective study on the existing database, which is already there, maybe from Vigibase or any other national database. And then I'm sure the next speaker is going to talk about AI more in detail. But this is what I found and found it very interesting. So I thought maybe it would be relevant. So, so now we are going one step ahead. So if we implement these concepts right at the time of drug development, can you imagine how many ADRs can be prevented in the real life setting? So we are going to choose the participants for clinical trial based on these inputs. If we could do this, of course, there's a long way to go, but this is how we could go. We could make a big difference in preventing adverse drug reactions. Now, finally, there is something called concept called systems biology. Integrate all the omics. So systems biology will have a view across all the omics. It will link across the disciplines. And as I said, I'm not an expert, but this concept is integration. Integration, then that is what these Novartis people have done. And this is evolving now. It is not very much in infancy, but of course in developing countries like ours, we are gaining a little momentum in this slowly. It's already there in US, and there they have done individual patient observation for maybe 10 years, 12 years, and then they have come out with very interesting observations. Anyway, that goes beyond the scope of this talk. So I just thought I'll introduce to this concept. Now I'm coming to the final part of my talk, that is, what are the global challenges in implementing precision pharmacovigilance and the probable solutions, and you people can add on to this. The first thing we would speak, let us not talk about technology, let's not talk about high end equipments. What we basically need is detailed documentation of patient history, clinical examination, investigations, treatments, and follow-up. So this is what is required at the hospital setting. And as I mentioned, so this can be achieved when we focus on documentation, use electronic health records, and use CDSS in the system. So here I suggest the regulators must make EHR and CDSS also mandatory across hospitals for prevention of ADRs. And the different, now we have PVPI, let's say in India, there should be a good collaboration across NABH, National Medical Council, and PI. So all of them should integrate to make this possible. And unless it is made mandatory, the things may not function. Next one is a pharmacovigilance unit and or clinical pharmacy departments in the hospital must get all the details of the patients, including follow-up. The common challenge is less of manpower. So regulators as well as the hospital administrators must support with adequate human resources and adequate infrastructure so that, as I said, the limitation was uh, incomplete data. We talk about completeness in terms of requirement. We have 4 mandatory fields. There should be a drug, there should be a patient, there should be a drug, patient, reporter, and temporal association. Isn't that so? There should be, and a physician, reporter, patient, drug, and reaction. These are the 4 mandatory things. So with this, get some data on ADR, but we may not get more data about the patient factors. So we, by supporting more, by getting more manpower and who are able to sit there, record the data, we will be able to get the complete data. And of course, with EMR, electronic medical records, health records, we should be able to get. Missing fields, which I already discussed now, all fields must be made as much as possible, must be made mandatory to get detailed patient data. I'm sure we will have challenges here. For example, relevant laboratory tests, which mean to say, if there is an ADR, we should do TDM, which we may not have. That's fine. But beyond that, let's not restrict to 4 mandatory fields. We can have more and more data collected in the ISCM. Therapeutic drug monitoring and pharmacogenomic support must be there as necessary investigations in all the tertiary care hospitals. We should have this support in all tertiary hospitals. They should be part of national programs, and government should invest in the required infrastructure at the coordinating centers. This is the suggestion which I would like to put forth, because this will go in a big way in identifying the drugs, and as I said, in preserving the important drugs. Why should we take action against certain drugs which are really useful? So by becoming more precise in understanding their effects and adverse reactions, we will preserve them. Then lack of, what is the other challenge? We have so many developments, but we don't have proper evidence. We don't have so many trials that are being done in precision medicines. We need well-designed, randomized, controlled clinical trials. So also there is a need to develop cost-effective bedside procedures for TDM or genomics. Government agencies must identify this as a thrust area of research and fund adequately. And researchers should not blame the funding or infrastructure. More researchers should come forward and get involved in these areas. They could collaborate with other institutes, whoever is doing it. But there is a need for researchers to show more interest in these areas. And we also have some challenges in validation of AI platforms. Many artificial intelligence tools are in the market without proper validation. And also it is a gray area for regulatory approvals actually under medical devices. They claim to be useful for precision medicine, but they are not designed based on appropriate authentic data. So there again, regulators need to take more, revise the guidelines for other approvals, etc. I am speaking this honestly in the interest of patients and on my interaction with some AI tool developers. And introduce the principles of precision medicine during clinical trials. At CD CIMER, we have initiated these studies. It is multidisciplinary, exploratory study on the role of TDM in the intensive tubercular therapy, a probable strategy for preventing acquired multi-drug resistance. Second one is prediction and prevention of MDR using computer-aided artificial intelligence model. This is done by entire Department of Pharmacology at my institute, at our university. To conclude, precision medicine is progressing rapidly. It is not, however, it is not uniformly distributed and accessible across different nations. This approach of predicting and preventing ADRs helps in saving the cost of healthcare to a great extent, apart from benefiting the individuals. However, integration across disciplines is still underway. And healthcare professionals, all included, not only the doctors, they play a key role in precision medicine in collecting adequate and authentic data. Signal detection must go beyond statistics. We need more information on patients who are at risk so that we can predict and prevent reactions. Thank you for patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Nadik, for excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Precision medicine in preventing ADRs is a recent concept, and
Yes.
thank you for providing your insights to it. I have one question, ma'am. As pharmacogenomic based prescribing and use of genetic risk scores is
Yes.
one of the tools to tailor made the patient treatment. So how
Correct.
do you see this approach being used in India on a common basis, given the affordability as a major hindrance?
Yes, very rightly said, affordability is a major hindrance. Affordability for the patients, number one. Accessibility, number two. As I said, very few centers have these equipments at their centers so that the patient can immediately be accessed. And at some places, of course, they are referred, but they cost. As you said, they definitely cost. But in conditions like oncology, this is worth the cost. In clinical conditions such as oncology, it is worth the cost. And as I said, even for conditions like warfarin, it is worth the cost. But as I said, accessibility is not there. We need to improvise on that. I think more and more as drugs, let's say new drug developments, initially they're very expensive. Let's say biologicals, they were initially very expensive. With time, they became affordable. Likewise, the genomic tools also, as we develop more and more people get involved, more indigenous, make in India, because we have a lot of manpower, we have resources, and the raw materials are available at a very affordable cost. We should come out with which are cost effective, then it can become easy. That's why I said, sir, the government agencies should fund, and they have started funding. In fact, we also got funding from Department of Science and Technology. We must make use of that now. So with that, I think it will become affordable. Having said that, pharmacogenomics is not the only factor. We have to consider a composite scoring. It is one of the factors. Just because TPMT assay shows doesn't mean we are saving ADR, doesn't mean we should stop taking other data. No, we have to integrate the patient data, genomics data, comorbidity, everything has to be integrated, and then a clinical decision should be made. Therefore, the IT becomes very important tool in integrating.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Brahma, any more questions from the audience?
Yeah, thank you, madam, for the nice, elaborate and very in-depth presentation on the very new topic, that is precision medicine, precision pharmacology, and precision pharmacovigilance. There is in chat box, it is popping up from somebody, Naveen Basar.
Yeah.
I don't know, it is a question or a comment. What he has written here is that precision medicine in layman terms.
Yeah.
Is this something that my name is written on capsule while manufacturing the drug? It is designed for me.
Pardon?
Precision. Yeah.
I am not able to see the. Okay, let me. Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Precision medicine in layman terms. Is this is this something that my name is written on capsule while manufacturing the drug?
No. This is a very good question actually, because initially when this term was, it was called personalized medicine initially. Yes. When it was introduced about I think 7-8 years ago, even in the United States, they were using personalized medicine. Then people started misusing it. They said this drug for this person. It was mistaken like that. No, it is not, and we cannot do that. However, this drug for this group of patients is precision. This drug for this group, because you cannot individual billions and trillions of individuals worldwide. We cannot have one drug and name written there, but we will have this category of patients. As I said, G6PD deficiency, do not give Primaquine. Slow acetylators, rapid. So we will categorize the patient. So the name is for the group and not for individual. I hope I am clear, Naveen Basan. Somebody talked about Ziduvidin. Can you?
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Now ADR maximum of the things were antimicrobial and antiviral.
Okay.
Ziduvidin is I can want to share that thing, but it was not there. I'm not able to share that. But Girovidin is one of the antiviral drug who is having the maximum ADR.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead. What is the question? Yes, it will have. It is because it's very potent. It is likely to have. But now the what is your question specifically?
Actually, I want to NRI, which now we have already follow the COVID time.
Huh.
Those retrovirus which we have.
Yeah.
NRI or SSRI?
No. What is your question? You want to talk about ADRs to Zidovudin, is it? It's one of the drug which produces
Yes,
maximum
now
ADRs, no?
maximum ADR Girovidin.
Okay. Yeah, maximum ADR is Zidovudin, but now precision medicine says identify who develops those ADRs. Does every patient develop, or it is seen in majority, or it is seen in minority?
As you told, INR ratio.
For warfarin.
Warfarin.
Yeah.
Warfarin, ma'am, it was
So like
before 7 days, it should be.
Correct. Time taken to reach INR. Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
हाँ.
So reach the INR to 7 days before
हाँ.
stroke निकालना है.
हाँ.
And then heparin. They are
Yes.
giving in the COVID time. They are giving the heparin.
Yes.
6 some intensive unit.
Correct.
So that's the basis, ma'am. It can cause DVT or not.
I didn't get your question.
Ma'am, it can cause DVT or not.
It doesn't cause DVT. It is used to treat DVT, parent. It is used to treat.
Doses was given.
Excess of doses, does it cause DVT? I am not clear. I am not. I don't know about it. Does it cause DVT? I am not sure. Others can answer maybe if anybody knows about it.
Okay.
So basically, the theme of this talk is your name. Good name, sir.
Ma'am, I'm very junior. Ma'am, Dr.
It's okay.
Behra.
Okay, so Dr. Behra, the theme is to understand which individuals show. Let's stratify the people and not blame only the drug. The drug may be toxic, but in whom it produces, how much it produces, can we prevent those? That is the theme of this talk. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jalali sir, please.
Unmute, sir. Sir, kindly unmute.
Okay, Sinmaya.
I have no question. Sorry, I was muted. And we can proceed next. And thank you, Professor Nadik,
Thank
for
you,
a
sir.
presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ma'am, we don't have any speaker right now for this next session. We can have a lunch break and we can rejoin at 2 o'clock. Means after 1 hour. After 1 hour, we can rejoin again. And thank you so much, Pratya ma'am. And
Thanks, Chinmay. Thank you so much, Dr. Chinmay.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Jalali, Dr. Brahma, Dr. Roja. Thanks.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jalali sir.